Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be testing Armored Core 6 on the Ally. I'm using the latest AMD drivers available when Starfield launched. Let's begin by testing the game in handheld mode. To ensure low power consumption and high FPS, I'll be testing the game at 720p at both 15 and 18 watts. For consistent results, I'll focus on this stage, which is representative of the game's overall performance. There are a few stages where the FPS might be lower, but we'll set that aside for now. Now, the Ally is set to performance mode. It's impressive to start testing Armored Core 6 on the high preset at 720p. Typically, I'd start with the low preset, but look at these numbers. The Ally averages 48 FPS on the high preset, maintaining a temperature of 57 degrees Celsius and delivering a battery life of 1 hour and 40 minutes. Kudos to From Software for their excellent optimization of Armored Core 6. Let's increase the power budget to 18 watts, still keeping the high preset at 720p. And as expected, the game runs smoother. However, there's a trade-off, a 20-minute reduction in battery life. With the Ally now averaging 54 FPS on the stage, compared to 48 FPS at 50 watts, you're sacrificing 20 minutes of battery life for an extra 6 FPS. Given the decent performance at 15 watts, I wouldn't opt for 18 watts while on the move. In turbo mode at 720p on the high preset, the average FPS remained consistent at 48 FPS. Testing various graphics presets at 720p and different power levels, the Ally seems to max out at around 54-55 FPS. For those of you interested in detailed statistics, I'll provide a link in the description below to my website where you can access comprehensive tables showcasing the FPS results across all my tests. Okay guys, now let's move on to 1080p resolution. At this resolution, performance did take a hit, and I needed to start my test with the low graphics preset to get decent FPS. So, on screen right now I have Armored Core 6 at 1080p using the low preset, and the Ally is in its performance mode. And the game does look worse than it did on the high preset. You can notice fewer trees and elements being rendered, and the view distance is also lower now. But as long as you're playing normally and not analyzing the game, I didn't find this lack of elements distracting. So the performance at 1080p using the Ally's performance mode was surprisingly good. On other games we usually need to use 18 watts or the Ally's turbo mode to get these levels of performance. The Ally is averaging 40 FPS at 1080p, so you can even play at 1080p on the go as long as you're fine with the low preset. So you'll still be getting 1 hour and 40 minutes of battery life out of the Ally, which is great. Most Ally users probably don't want to limit their devices to 15 watts, right? Let's see how the game fares in the Ally's turbo mode at 25 watts. Impressively, there's a 25% performance boost, with the Ally averaging 50 FPS. The game looks stunning at 1080p, even on the low preset. And testing the low preset at 1080p with 18 watts, I observed a modest performance increase over 15 watts, but it still lags slightly behind the turbo mode, averaging 47 FPS. To maximize performance on your Ally, use the turbo mode. But if you're mobile and can manage with 1 hour and 20 minutes of battery life, 18 watts is a good choice. Okay guys, now let's move on to my custom settings for Armored Core 6. I'm going to be playing at 1080p with a mix of low, medium, and high because, let's be honest guys, we don't buy an Ally so that we can play games on low. The Steam Deck does a much better job at playing at lower settings, and don't try enabling ray tracing for 2 reasons. It only works in the garage, and also the game crashes, or at least it crashed for me the times I tested it. So, let's move on and show some gameplay with these settings. I'm going to be showing you guys what performance you can get at different power levels. Right now, you can see the Ally using 18 watts and it's managing a decent frame rate. We can see it averaging 37 FPS, which on the Ally's Freesync screen feels just as smooth as 60 FPS. Okay, then I upped the power budget to 20 watts. And by doing so, the Ally was able to average 40 FPS on Armored Core 6 with my settings. I think that if you're going to use my settings, you should go with 20 watts instead of 18 watts. You'll get pretty much the same battery life, but we'll keep the FPS at 40 consistently. And last, I tried the 25 watt turbo mode to see what type of performance boost we get. And to my surprise, Those extra 5 watts of power only gave me 1 extra average FPS. So I'm a bit disappointed with the turbo mode. I mean, at least if you plan on using these settings. Alright folks, let's wrap this up and draw some conclusions. First and foremost, the versatility of the Ally truly stands out. Whether you're on the go or sitting at home, the range of power settings accommodates various gaming scenarios, and it's genuinely impressive how it performs across the board. Armored Core 6 on the Ally is a testament to how far handheld gaming has come. From a solid 48 FPS at 720p on high settings, to the surprising performance at 1080p on low. It's clear that we're experiencing a new era of portable gaming. The Ally's Freesync screen only adds to the immersive experience, making the gameplay feel buttery smooth even when the numbers suggest otherwise. The flexibility of power and settings gives players lots of choices, but it's crucial to remember that every boost in performance comes with a trade-off, particularly in battery life. For on-the-go gaming, I suggest a balanced approach, leaning towards the 15 to 20 watt range. Thanks for tuning in, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth reviews and gaming content.